We'd like to start out by thanking our valuable sponsors. Sense of Satisfaction by Cricket is the place for all your fragrance needs. Plus, she's got products to heal what ails your skin and your hair. Shop at scentsbycricket.com. Special thanks to our valued sponsor, John Travis, a financial coach and certified Kingdom advisor with Richard Young Associates, a registered investment advisor. Thanks goes to Anna Patterson, my sister in the Lord who faithfully gives to this ministry every month. And to our newest sponsor, LaToya Gerard of Preach the Word Worldwide Network. She is a valued sponsor and a major encourager regarding this ministry. We need and would love to have you as a sponsor. Absolutely no gift is too small. Please note the info regarding giving throughout and at the end of the show, and help us spread these testimonies around the world. Please note that the views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily the viewpoints of our sponsors. It's time to hear the story, make the connection, learn the lesson, and gain the wisdom. Are you ready? Let's get charged and be changed. The Sister Speak Brother Break Show. Conversations on grace, healing, and deliverance. This is Marcy Bush. Come on, let's journey together.
College was that test, but then sometimes moving away also allows you to kind of go to ground zero and say, when I stand up, I'm just going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever me is. It gives you that opportunity to explore, to become, who you really are. But it's like it's got to work its way from the inside out.
Right.
Yeah. And so, thinking about, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, I remember when that particular transformation started happening. Of course, you don't realize it when you're in it. You just remember, you can look back. But I remember, it was, I don't know, I think Jakell was like maybe 3. And we came from Missouri to home. It was Christmas time. And my first cousins were there. They were like, "You different. Something's different about you." And it wasn't, I still wore the same kind of clothes, like I still had the same voice, still cracked the jokes, but they were like, "You different."
That's good.
And it was like, we knew, and it transformation. And that was at the beginning of the transformation. That was like year 1. I was still like a baby Christ, still on milk.
Yes. But it means something when people do see something on you, but you're not doing it for that. You don't.
Right.
I didn't realize for a long, long time that I thought I was acting out of a genuine spot, like a pure place. Although it was heartfelt, although it was real to me, it wasn't pure because I wanted that approval, because I wanted that acceptance. So although, like I said, it was heartfelt and it wasn't from a malicious place or, oh, I'm getting ready to, it was none of that. But I can't say it was pure because it wasn't God led.
Right.
It was led by just wanting to be wanted, wanting to be needed. And so, like I said, it just, freedom looks good on you. It really does.
It fits so good. It's comfortable too.
Yes. Yes, it is. And so I want to ask you, thinking about Safe House, and I don't normally, we definitely like, it's not the thing where you come on here to promote your book or your ministry or none of that, but it's almost like I can't go without saying about Safe House and what led you to that name.
Because
and tell us what it is, what the Safe House is.
The Safe House, it's just a Facebook group for women to come. And so the idea behind it was just like I told you, I had to get a safe place to take off my mask and rub off all the lies and the stuff, a lot of women don't have that. A lot of women don't even know that that's a thing, so where they can come and take off the mask, pull off the wig, girl, like, come here as you are and ask the questions that you're concerned about. And I remember there was a time where I struggled with believing the Bible. I was like, do I really believe this? Because there were so many other things like, just other ideas and other religions. And well, that's the white man's religion, this and that. So I had to go on a journey with mentors of my own and my with the Holy Ghost, with the Holy Spirit, and like, is this real? But I needed a safe place to go there, because as soon as you say, I'm not sure I really believe in this, oh, you blasphemy, like, you need a safe space for that. Or if you are in church, a lot of people are in church and they don't know what the fruit of the spirit is. So then they get ridiculed or shamed because they don't know what that is. So this is a place for you to come and ask that. This is a place for you to come and say, I need prayer because I'm struggling with watching porn. Those things that are taboo that you don't want to talk about. This is
Right.
a place, judgment-free zone, to where you can get healing. And you think about the idea of a safe house, like where people go on witness protection. Well, this is a place for you to go and just be free from all that outside stuff. I remember, seeing people get pregnant out of wedlock in the church, and just the shame and them having to go before the church board and decide if you can continue being a member and all those things. People who've had I told you about the woman before who mentored me, who had an abortion, but she could speak to that place out of being healed from that and what she was going through. So she was a safe place, like just being somebody who you can confide in and not be pushed away or ridiculed or made to feel like you're stupid.
Right.
Pretty much.
Right.
Mm.
Well, it's a beautiful platform that God has given you. And again, I feel like who better to
Yeah.
do than someone who's needed that safe haven, and now
Right.
you're able to build it for someone else. And
Right. And I hope to be because I was just thinking about the direction of that particular group, and I told my best friend about it. I was like, I kind of feel like you start a small fire there, and then like at work I'm starting another small fire, and then I will go on somewhere else and start these small fires that will build up to spread the gospel,
mhm.
in a way that is so not traditional.
Right, right.
And just like even those aspects with my daughters, it's hard trying to keep engaged, because some of the Bible stuff and all the things, they are like cheesy. And
Mhm.
so it's like trying to keep them engaged too. You have to be real with them. You have to provide a safe space for them to
Mhm.
ask questions, like, because a lot of times with kids, you want to, girl, sit down and be quiet. You don't need to worry about all that, but
Right.
entertain the weird questions that they ask,
Mhm.
entertaining their little weird prayer requests that they pray for, like what, and not making them feel silly for praying for that, or
Yes.
silly. Like, you remember we will all read in school. You know how you all had to read the scripture, and somebody mispronounce the word, and everybody go laugh. And just, if we're doing that at home, and if we can be like, no, we're not laughing here,
Right.
because like, making that a safe spot for them to question their faith and be like, well, wait a minute, how do I know this is real? Like, I don't want them to have my faith. I want them to have their,
Mhm.
faith. So it's like that. I'm just seeing that too, like in a bigger picture of just in different areas,
Yeah.
starting all fires.
Right. And that whole safety piece, it is so, and it's funny because like with the ministry that I do with Sister Speak, our little tagline is like providing a safe place to heal.
Mhm.
And so safety, that's something major because just like, I mean, in extreme circumstances, somebody might have to have uh them might have to be cut and surgery performed out in the field or somewhere. That's not ideal. You know,
Right.
ideal is in a place that is designed for that treatment and to start you with the aftercare.
Right.
And so,
And that's that too, just that aftercare, because people after they get, like I work in healthcare. So after you fix them up, they still need follow-up appointments. They still need medication. They still need to go home with ice packs and heat packs and rest and stay out of school. It's just because you got healed, fixed, you still got to get healed, and a lot of layers come out of that. Like, I told you I got set free, but then I went through this whole legalism thing where I had to break out of that. It was a journey.
yeah, yeah. So I'm grateful for you sharing the journey. Like I told you off camera, I
Mhm.
do hope and trust that you and I will be able to come together again, even with your husband.
Yeah. He's been brief. He's
Okay,
been
good. Hope he's on the same page.
yeah.
Because I would love to hear his testimony, but I would also love to hear your testimony together.
Yeah.
Um, I think that that would be such a beautiful thing. So I'm just, again, your transparency, and that's one of the things with us going along, going on people's journey, is that it's got to be somebody. Just being saved is not that's not the journey. What are you doing with your salvation? How are you living in salvation? And so, I'm grateful that you shared your journey with us. Jakell, if there was something that you could say that would help people understand how, whether they're saved or unsaved, but let's just say even someone who is saved, they know they're on their way to heaven. So salvation, we'll say that's out of the question. That's not a question. It is done. Make them know that freedom is important, that freedom is essential.
The funny thing is my 11-year-old texted me at work the other night and she said, "Mama, I'm scared that when the rapture comes, I might get left behind."
Mm,
And so I asked her, I said, "Well, Kira, do you believe that Jesus is who he said he is? Do you believe that he is the way, the truth, and the life?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Well, you said," and I said, "The freedom part of that," we had this conversation, me and my 11-year-old daughter. I said, "The freedom part comes from knowing that you will fall down sometimes, you will have trouble, but that God will deliver you from them all." And I was like, everybody, the only person who's not sinning, they sleep. I said, everybody messes up. I said, but you can have freedom and peace knowing that you are forgiven and you are loved.
mhm.
And so she was like, "Thank you so much." But like I was at work teary eyed because I was at work and she texted me that. So knowing, I would say just knowing that you don't have to be perfect. You don't
Right.
have to have it all together.
Mhm,
You to be free.
mhm,
And it is so vital because then you know that what you have, nobody can take that from you. That joy, like once you know who God created you to be, nobody can steal that from you.
mhm,
So it's imperative for your journey because I've lived in bondage before and it sucks. But just knowing that I might mess up today, but I'm forgiven, knowing that mercies are new every morning, knowing that I serve a God who is faithful,
yes.
that allows me to be free, you know, not free but wild, but you
Right, right.
like free to live.
Yes, yes. Well, I just want to thank you for taking out of your time. It means a lot. And, I always say that I know there are parts of your journey that will really hit different people. And
Mhm.
I'm grateful for this space that we have, with using the internet technology,
Yeah,
and just knowing that it will reach people that may have never seen, people that you will never meet in your lifetime, will
right.
never your story. They'll now know your
I'm
journey.
in heaven. They could tell me,
Exactly.
"Hey, girl."
Exactly. That's right. That's right. And just knowing that, whether they see it the day it premieres or somebody sees it years from now, that they'll be able to glean from it the very thing that they need in the next step of their journey. So I just want to thank you for that. And
Thank you.
huh?
I said, "Thank you for having
Oh
me."
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I'm so glad about it. And I feel like it's gonna unlock, you know, anybody who's looking, but I believe that there are some people who know you from back when
Mhm.
are gonna be blessed because they know you now.
Right.
They get to see your now, and so that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And I want to thank you all for joining us for the Sister Speak Brother Break show. Like I always do, I want to ask you to share it, not because I'm trying to be Facebook famous, YouTube famous, none of that, but because I want people's lives to be changed through the lives of other believers. And so I ask you to share it. And then I want to ask you to join us uh, next week, same place, same time for the Sister Speak Brother Break show. Be blessed. Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Sister Speak Brother Break show. Today, I have a guest that I'm just meeting today, which is unusual because y'all know most of my guests are people that I have known for quite a while or that I have some kind of one-on-one relationship with for the most part. We've been doing this. We're I think at episode 126 maybe. And with all of them, with the exception of maybe two or three people, I've known on a personal level. Well, my guest today is special to me because he's married to my cousin, and we just had our conversation with her, and that's Jakell Shannonhouse, Danielle Jakell, DJ Shannonhouse. Um, Oh, I forgot the Graham too.
Mhm.
Danielle Jakell Graham Shannonhouse. There we
Yeah, yeah.
and so as she was talking about her journey, her husband's journey started being intertwined, and it just the way she spoke about how God changed his life, it really spoke to me, and so I wanted to have him on so that he could share his journey with us because it sounds like it's been a miraculous one. And so, welcome with me, Joseph or Joe Shannonhouse. So,
Hi,
thanks so much for joining us, Joe.
you're
Um,
welcome.
yeah, you married into some good families.
I like to think that sometimes. Some,
Sometimes, right? Sometimes they show out.
yeah.
Well, like I said, Jakell just she talked to us about how she met you and all that, but I know you had life before Jakell. And
hmm
so I really want to start out kind of with you just telling us your background, your younger days, what it was like for Joe the kid.
Okay. So I am originally from North Carolina. I was born in Edenton, North Carolina. I was raised in Plymouth, Eastern North Carolina all my life, Eastern North North Carolina.
Okay.
Uh, Ever since I knew my parents, my mom and my dad. My dad was a pastor. They always been a Christian. So I grew up in a Christian family.
Mm-hmm.
Dad was a pastor, my mom was the evangelist, and then we kind of broke out from under one church, and my dad started his own church.
Okay.
And yeah, always in church. Sundays, maybe sometimes 3, 4 services. You know,
Mhm.
in, include Saturday program, singing program, and then Wednesday nights I believe was Bible study. Thursday night was prayer. Friday nights was rehearsal. I think Tuesday was men's group. So we was in church a lot. We was in
Yeah.
church, and then I used to sing from the time I can remember. I believe I was like 5 or 6 years old. It was my brother, my older brother, my older sister, and we was all. It was called the Shannonhouse Singers. All
Oh,
right,
really?
yeah, and we started.
Okay.
We started from I was 5. My sister was 6. My brother was 7, and we
Mhm.
started all singing in a row. My dad played the lead guitar, and
Mm.
everyone loved us because we used to harmonize real good.
Uh-huh.
And they always said we sound like the Chipmunks. So, so it was the
Oh,
Chipmunk
goodness.
gospel singing, but we called it's the Shannon House gospel singers.
Okay.
And then from that point, we was going all over kind of Eastern North Carolina, just going invited out to different singing programs, concerts, and yeah, we'll sing our heart out, and people will love us and love on us, and give us a little offering, and give us our little confidence and send us on our way.
Right.
So that
Right.
turned into every other weekend, and but just to go back to say, we was always in church.
Mhm.
From that point, I was in school. I was doing okay in school, but I think once I got in middle school, I started smelling myself, as the older people say, and then I started being a little mischievous. Once I got in high school, I started failing the ninth grade, and then I eventually passed, and then I went to the 10th grade and was failing that again, and then my dad decided to pull me out of school.
Okay.
Uh, I would say I quit school, he sent me to a community college so that I can get my GED. And
Mhm.
then the plan was, once I got my GED, I was going to go to Atlanta, where my older sister was at, and then live with her, help her out with the boys, and work and pay my way through college. But
Mhm.
being a young man going to Atlanta, you know, from a small town,
Right.
from a
Right.
small town, that wasn't a good move, because once I got there, everything was fast paced. I found a job, but college was nowhere on my mind. And then
Gotcha.
my dad saw me again, getting into trouble, doing things that I wasn't supposed to do, being involved with things. So he pulled me away from Atlanta and then made me join the army.
Okay.
Uh,
Well,
I went,
let me slow you down a little bit.
okay, all right.
So let's go back to even I don't know if it was because you said the trouble kind of surfaced
Hmm.
um in middle school. How did and I also know that well, my parents, I grew up in church. Like you said, I always in church. I
Hmm.
was probably there. Mine was more like Sunday school. And at one time, because I'm older than Jakell, so we had church 2 Sundays out of the month, but we had Sunday school every Sunday.
Okay.
So but we had Bible study, we had choir practice, we had missionary meetings, all those. But so I was in church a lot. I had parents who, they were integral parts of the church. But I know it's different being a preacher's kid.
Yeah, it's
When
very.
yeah, I wasn't a preacher's kid. But I know that there's a lot that goes into that. I think a lot of expectations from people, all
Mhm.
kinds of stuff like that. And that's just an assumption that may be some of what, kind of
Yeah.
had you in different areas. So tell us, like I said, slow it down for us a little bit and tell me, like, what kind of trouble did you begin to see manifest in your life, like around those middle school ages?
So around that time, I started smoking was a big thing. Smoking cigarettes, and then weed, marijuana was introduced also. I didn't That didn't carry on maybe until the early high school, late middle school, early high school
Mm-hmm.
years. But the trouble of getting involved with cigarettes, because my uncles, we used to go and take care of my uncles on my mom's side, and all of them smoked.
Mm-hmm.
And we was curious to see, me and my brother. We wanted to see what that, because initially the smells, a cigarette smelled good, and I was like, well, I want to do that, and so
Uh-huh.
we'll get that. Um, besides that, it was girls. It was just shooting spitballs in classrooms. You know,
Mhm.
just doing stuff to get on other kids' nerves, shooting rubber bands and making noises, talking back to the teacher, cussing. No, we wasn't supposed to cuss. You
Right,
know, and
right.
now middle school, those coaches was allowed to put their hands on you or at least give you a paddling. You
Okay.
know, and so I remember Warren Davenport, WD. I was
Mhm.
walking the lunchroom and I thought I was big and bad, and I yelled out a cuss word. Yes, this is messed up. I'm tired of eating this same food. And he looked around and heard me. He said, "You say what, son? You say what?"
Oh,
He grabbed me by my little shirt and drove me across that long basketball court into the coach's office and wore me out in there. Then called my parents. And then
okay.
to school, wore me out, used the coach's paddle and wore me out some more in there.
Uh, uh-huh.
It was strict. I knew there was stuff that I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing, but I wanted to be cool. I wanted to fit in with the group because I already knew I was a preacher's kid, and everybody knew that because it was a small town. So
Mhm.
they was doing fun stuff and doing crazy things, and it's almost like the teachers didn't really expect that much from them, but they knew me and who my
Right.
parents, and
Yeah.
they didn't tolerate it at all.
Yeah.
Now they stayed on the phone with my parents.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah.
That's how it is a lot when they know the stock you come from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a different expectation. What I'm coming to learn now, and I was reminded of it even while you were speaking. There's a lot of times when okay, so the pressure from people is often related to who we're connected to as our parents or whatever.
Hmm.
However, the enemy knows your destiny.
Hmm.
Enemy knows what you're called to. And so while the pressure from people might be, this outward thing that they want, the enemy is after destroying, you know,
Hmm.
who you are and your view of yourself
Right.
so that he doesn't have that to contend with.
Hmm. So I will take all that. I was at the time, I think I was struggling. I wouldn't say I was struggling with identity, but how other people reacted to what I was doing, that's
Hmm.
how it became part of my identity. Everybody thought I was funny because I was doing funny stuff. Well, I was
Hmm.
doing clown things, you know. So I always can classify myself as I'm funny because everybody thought I was funny. But really
Right.
I was just doing silly stuff and people would laugh at the silly stuff I was doing. So I wasn't really funny, but I
Okay.
became part of my identity that later on.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you've been blessed by today's show, feel free to let us know. And if you'd like to sow into this ministry, become a sponsor, or contact us, you can reach us at 803-221-0169. Or you can email us at the ssbbshow@gmail.com. Let's continue this journey together.